Welcome back, you guys. And just before the beginning of the 1993-1994 NBA season, Michael Jordan shocked the sports world with a press conference announcing his NBA retirement, and his reasoning was he lost the desire to play the game of basketball and that his father's death over the summer influenced his decision to not come back to the NBA. In 1994, he then made an even bigger shock to the sports world when he decided to play a short stint of minor league baseball with the Chicago White Sox. Fast forward about a year later, after the baseball announcement, Jordan sent out the famous two-word press release, "I'm back," about a month before the start of the 1995 NBA playoffs. But Michael Jordan was not the first NBA player to say he is done with the NBA, then return to the court years later. There have been players before him going back to the 50s that have done this, so let's go through 7 of them who have retired and rejoined the NBA. The 2007 NBA Rookie of the Year and a 2-time All-NBA team selection, Brandon Roy was a 6'6" shooting guard out of Washington who was one of the league's most promising young scorers last decade. He had back-to-back seasons with scoring 20 points per game. He could get to the rim, he could finish past centers, or pull up for a 17-foot jump shot. Kobe Bryant was once asked in an interview who was the toughest player to guard before the 2010 season. Kobe said Brandon Roy was the toughest player to guard and he has no weaknesses. But Roy was hit with knee injuries that forced him to give up his NBA career right before the start of the 2011 season. And this has not only disappointed Blazers fans and NBA fans, but he got a lot of support from the players the day it was announced he would be retiring. Kevin Durant tweeted out in support for him. Carmelo Anthony said the NBA is losing a great one, and LeBron tweeted out, "Please say it ain't so. Brandon Roy retiring, losing one of the best 2 guards in the league before he's ready to go. So unfortunate." He came out of retirement and returned for the 2012-2013 season with the Timberwolves, but was only able to play 5 games before having to have knee surgery again. In those 5 games, he averaged 5.8 points. A 3-time NBA MVP, a 5-time NBA champion, and the NBA's all-time leader in assists per game, Magic Johnson had one of the NBA's most decorated careers ever. In a live press conference in November of 1991, Magic Johnson announced to the media that he had tested positive for HIV and he would retire from the NBA. He told the world that he would beat the disease and use his platform to spread awareness about it. Magic actually played in the 1992 All-Star Game, even though he didn't play a game during that regular season. He scored 25 points and won the All-Star MVP. 2 seasons later, Magic actually coached the Lakers in the 1994 season and then returned as a player in 1996. He played a lot of power forward that year, and he averaged 14 points and 6 assists in 32 regular season games. George Mikan was a part of 5 NBA championships with the Minneapolis Lakers. His career averages were 23 points per game and 13 rebounds. At 6'10", he could do his famous hook shot over the top of players, and there's a statue of him doing it at the Target Center in Minnesota. And if you played any type of organized basketball, you heard of the famous Mikan drill. After 6 years of playing, he retired at the end of the 1954 season and came back for the 1955 season with the Lakers, but he fell off as a player and averaged just 10 points and 8 rebounds in his comeback season. To put that in perspective, the year before he retired, he was putting up 24 points and grabbing 14 boards a night. Dave Cowens was a 6'9" center for the Boston Celtics. He finished with 2 NBA championships and an MVP award in the 1973 season. He averaged 20 points and 16 rebounds in that season. After losing in 5 games to Julius Erving and the 76ers in the 1980 Eastern Conference Finals, he decided to call it quits and retired that summer. After sitting 2 seasons, Cowens returned to the NBA in 1982 to prove himself again as a player. The Celtics still had the rights to him, so he asked to be traded because the Celtics bigs, they were already set with Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. He was traded to the Bucks, where they won 53 games and lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. He averaged 8 points and 6 rebounds per game in 40 regular season games. Cowens had injury issues with his legs in Milwaukee, which kept him out of more games and forced him into retirement again. He's even quoted saying, "I have sprained my ankle at least 30 times over the duration of my career, broken both legs, and fractured a foot." I'll leave this stat with you about Cowens before I go into the 5th player. He is one of 5 players in NBA history to lead his team in points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, as well as steals and blocks per game. After 10 seasons in the NBA, Sidney Moncrief who was a two-time Defensive Player of the Year winner in 1983 and 1984. He retired from the Bucks in the 1989 season. He made a comeback in the 1990 season for the Atlanta Hawks, where he played in 72 games and averaged 4.7 points, and then he retired again at the end of that season. Moncrief was selected 5th overall by the Bucks in the 1979 draft. He made a handful of All-NBA team selections and was selected to 5 All-Star games. Jonathan Bender, who was the 5th overall selection by the Raptors in the 1999 NBA draft, played 7 disappointing seasons with the Indiana Pacers before a knee injury forced him to retire in 2006. He was a 6'11" small forward who came out of high school and went straight into the draft, but never panned out as a player he was predicted to be by draft scouts. Bender then unretired and joined up with the Knicks in the 2009-2010 season, but only played 25 games and called it quits again and retired. The last player on my list for the NBA players who came out of retirement was Richie Guerin, who was a 6'4" shooting guard who played most of his career for the Knicks in the late 50s and early 60s. He was a 6-time All-Star and averaged 29 points per game in the 1962 season, but retired in 1967 to become a coach for the Atlanta Hawks. After 1 year of coaching, he came out of retirement to play 2 more seasons with the team, then retired again, and then coached 2 more years with the Hawks. Guerin was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2013. That's it for me, and those were 7 NBA players other than Michael Jordan who retired only to come back to play more seasons. Don't mind the 2K gameplay, but if you made it this far to the video, definitely leave a like if you enjoyed. We made it to 6,000 subscribers and counting. Let's see if we can hit 10K subscribers before the end of May or by the NBA Finals. So I'm out. I'll see you guys in my next video.